the reason why this man didn't come out, it's a very complex matter. In simple words, this question was put to him, of course, by people who used to meet him and who knew he was Subhash Bose. And these people were also, some of them were former revolutionaries, one or two were from the INA intelligence services. So these people were aware of the facts and all that. So we have a documented, for example, instance when somebody asked him a question, a revolutionary former, asked him this question when Moraji Bhai had become the prime minister of the country. He said, "Why doesn't this government ask me to come out and take your rightful place?" And his answer was, "If I came out, a lot of innocents will die." So this is one dimension of it, that don't forget, if there are 10 people in the country who are diehard fan of Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, there are also 20 people in the country who are diehard, Ahimsa ke Pujari. And what these Ahimsa ke Pujari did in Delhi in 1984, I can very well tell you because I'm sitting in Delhi. So it's not going to be that easy that Subhash Chandra Bose will come out one fine morning and everybody will start dancing with joy. No, the people will be annoyed because they didn't like him. And even in home state, people used to not like him. They used to call him Tojo's dog or Tojor Kukur, as they call it in Bangla. And so it's not going to be easy for him to come out and say, look, I was there. There are multiple problems. So it seems the reason for his not coming out, not one, there were multiple. And these reasons were effective in different parts and time. First of all, why did he go to Russia? He went to Russia because the Second World War came to an end. Because India has no history. We have barely been able to control a small country like Pakistan, and we lost in Sri Lanka. So we do not know what wars are. We are people of peace. We don't know anything about wars. Second World War was a very big thing, and you would appreciate that, biggest term of abuse, even today, was to call somebody a war criminal, which people have called Putin today as a war criminal. No, Gumnaami Baba or Subhash Chandra Bose was of the impression that he was treated as a war criminal, because don't forget, whoever Subhash Bose had a linkage in Second World War, they either died during the war or they were hanged after the war. So he thought he was a relic of a world order which had no place in the new world order. So he had no option but to hide away, because he was advised, if you get caught by the British, you would be summarily executed, and with your death, the freedom struggle will come to an end. So you need to survive in order to continue fighting for the country. Survival is an important thing. So he was there, and he was aware that there are war crimes charges against him. So this was the main factor for him. It was impossible for him to even think of coming out in 50s and 60s. Thereafter, there was a situation like, he didn't have enough support. We have in our book given, for example, an outline. Many people in past, historians and others, have thought about, a scenario. What would have happened if Netaji were to come back to India in 47? And they all imagine there'll be some tussle, and eventually either Panditji or Subhash Bose will take over. But if you put it like, what would happen if Netaji were to return to India in 1951-52, which he actually did. Gumnaami Baba came back to India in 1951-52. Now, by this time, situation has changed dramatically from 47. So if Subhash Chandra Bose was around in 51-52, he would have no support. He probably would have a lot of support in 47. But then in 52, he would have no support internally. And then at the same time, you have come out. What will Subhash Chandra Bose do? If he comes out, he will not come out and say, I want to contest the election of the MLA seat in West Bengal. He's top man, top for the top job. You think a person who has been, who's understood to be a war criminal in the Western countries, who had an alliance with, the Axis forces, and Tojo and Hitler and whatnot, you think the Americans and the British would allow him to become a prime minister of India? Let him function. Would he be given guard of honor if he went to some other countries? It will not happen. So it's very difficult for us to explain. It was not possible even on this charge alone of war crimes that he could resurface. And the world did not change so much. The world has changed only after 9/11, and there were other multiple factors. He tried coming out, but then, the another thing happened which went totally against him. If you believe what he said, but there's another, whether I want to believe or not believe is a different ballgame. But since I accept he was Netaji, he also, came out with this, line that when he reached Russia, and because Russians had saved his life, so in lieu of it or in return, he probably advised them. And this worked very well for him and them. And he made serious allegations against the Indian leadership. He said the Indians have accepted the transfer of power on terms and conditions which will suit the Western powers, not this country. And if I don't do anything, India would become a center of Cold War. And to avoid that, I have to do something, and to ensure that the Cold War doesn't become hot on Indian soil. And then he said he became part of the Russian covert operations. He was involved in Korean War. He was involved in the Vietnam War, and so on. So these are the claims that he's making. So if any of these claims have any iota of truth behind them, I don't think he was possible. A man who's claiming that he gave Americans a bloody nose in Vietnam War, you think he can come out in 1965 and say, look, my name is Subhas Chandra Bose, I was here and then, and so forth? Becomes difficult. So he would say, when people would ask him in simple words, why are you not coming out? He said, my coming out is not in India's national interest. People of country would suffer. There would be sanctions on our country to hand me over. I'm still the enemy number one of the Allied powers. So poor people of my country would suffer because of me. So let me be here. I'm working for the country, and my coming out will not serve anybody's interest. So this is how I would say. So you would appreciate this is not the you would expect a holy man to talk in such a way. So in one line, he thought his coming out was not in India's national interest because of the circumstances as they were in those days.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.